Hello and welcome to Vinyasa Flow Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua, and for this rather hip-focused practice, specifically turning out the thighs at the hips, we also had a few other requests like postures to help release tension in the sciatic nerve area and release the lower back as well as the neck. So we'll add some of that as well. Grab a couple of blocks and a strap, and I invite you to begin in a cross-legged position of your choice. Now, if you find that your hips are kind of tight today, and when you're trying to sit cross-legged, your knees lift up away from the ground, higher than your hips, then grab your blocks and make them as high as you need. I often use 2 low blocks side by side, so there's a wider bench to sit on, and elevate your pelvis, sitting towards the front edge of your props to allow your knees to drop open more easily. And then if you bring the shins closer together so the knees are just slightly wider than hips distance apart, that can be easier on the hips to start. So play around with it. And then I invite you as well to notice if you tend to cross one leg over the other most of the time. So I tend to cross my left leg over the right most of the time. So I invite you to switch it up, because that can definitely cause imbalances in which hip is more open, which hip is a bit tighter. So yesterday in Yin Yoga, I started reviewing the first 3 of 7 mind traps. As the writers and therapists Bob Stahl and Alicia Goldstein explain in their program and book called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, mind traps are mental patterns that cause us stress. So they're ways, they're habits of mind. And becoming aware of when these patterns might arise for you, then you have more choice to work on letting them go. So the 4th, we're going to go over the 4th through the 7th. The 4th mind trap that you might look out for is called catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is the tendency to imagine the worst possible outcome or worst case scenario, even in the midst of having a great time. This can result in anxiety, fear, and panic attacks. As Byron Katie teaches, you might counter this impulse by questioning the thought's validity. Is this true? Also, you can practice various mindfulness meditations to cultivate clear seeing and present moment awareness. The 5th mind trap is called mind reading. This is the habit of convincing yourself that you know what other people are thinking without actual proof. Such a cycle contributes to negative self-talk, anxiety, and depression, and can poison relationships by projecting our insecurities onto others and acting from our assumptions. This might sound like, they didn't reply to my email just now, they think horribly of me. Instead, try learning to cultivate peace within uncertainty and adopting the Zen practice of mentally addressing those kinds of thoughts with maybe so, maybe not. Also, as Don Miguel Ruiz explains in the book, The 4 Agreements, don't take things personally. Remember, each of us is acting from our own personal reality. Now, the 6th mind trap is called the external expert. And this is a righteous attitude of being constantly on guard. This thinking has attributes of perfectionism, narcissism, and arrogance, and is an attempt to feel better than others, setting them up to fail. It might sound like a compounding criticism of others around you. Often, such pompousness is used as a mask for low self-esteem. Causing defensiveness, this mental pattern can undermine relationships, making it difficult to admit fault and resolve conflicts. Instead, it may help to cultivate humility and practice seeing things from others' perspectives. You might also try So-Hum meditation. We've done that one a few times, which is a remembering of our interconnectedness and interbeing. Now we're down to the 7th mind trap. This is the last one on our list, and it's called blaming. This is the habit of holding others responsible for our pain or holding ourselves responsible for others' pain. It contributes to resentment or guilt and codependence. In giving away our sense of control, it can lead to anxiety and stress. Instead, take responsibility for what happens in your own life. Mantras that affirm your sense of agency can be helpful. A constant practice of forgiveness meditation helps cultivate inner freedom. So as we continue to practice observing ourselves through svadhyaya, the yogic practice of self-study, as I remind us repeatedly and remind myself repeatedly, remember to be kind to yourself with what you observe. Remember to practice self-compassion. All right, let's begin our physical yoga. As you're sitting still, maybe close the eyes and begin to mentally scan your physical body. Taking the time to notice, without judging, any sensations. Where is your body calling your attention the most right now? I invite you to bring a friendly attitude of curiosity. Can you sense the breath? No need to control the breath. But notice the depth or the pace. Feeling into your energy. Now observe your mind. What state is your mind in right now? Are there patterns of thoughts you might notice? Again, without judging. And how do you feel emotionally right now? Let's start to slow down the breath in through the nose and out through the lips. Feeling the inhale, take up space, stretching the 4 walls of your rib cage. Emptying the breath slowly through your mouth. Try a few more rounds of breathing like that. Each time maybe a little slower. And as you do, I invite you to tune in to something you could recognize in this moment with the feeling of gratitude. Now start to narrow down your focus onto your intention for this practice. What personal qualities are you cultivating? Then recognize somebody else that you would like to extend loving kindness to by dedicating this practice to them. Now let's join our voices, chanting Om together in celebration of our interbeing and creating resonance. breathing in slowly, closing the lips. Continue to breathe just through the nose if you can, creating a gentle whispering sound that helps you to regulate your breathing by listening to the sound, inviting the qualities of calm, focus, and balance. Slow, steady breaths. So as you're whispering the breath by gently constricting the back of the throat, we're practicing Ujjayi Pranayama, victorious breathing. As you listen to that, let's make our way down to our backs. We're going to warm up the hips lying down. So as you are there on your back, bend your knees. Take hold of them with your hands. Inhale as you rotate your thighs apart. Exhale as you circle the thighs towards each other. Try that a few more cycles, just connecting your movement to a slow, mindful breath. Changing the direction of the circles several times as we're inviting warmth and lubrication into the hip joints. Might even be getting a lower back massage or glute massage here. Try to relax your shoulders down, head down. Sense the range of motion in both of your hips. One more deep breath. Now set your left foot on the ground and from your right hip socket, turn out your right thigh. Flex your right foot by curling the right toes towards your right shin as you cross your right ankle over your left thigh, creating a figure 4 shape. Keep your left foot on the ground and with your right hand gently press away the top of your inner right thigh, helping to splay your right knee towards your right wall. Ground the back of your left hip here and just notice any sensations, especially around your right hip or inner or outer right thigh, or maybe along the right side of your lower back. Ask your body if it wants you to stay in this position longer or change it up. If changing it up, lift your left foot and thread your right hand between your thighs. With both hands, take hold of your left thigh, or if you can reach, hold your left shin. Keep flexing your right foot to stabilize your right knee as you bring the left leg towards your chest, breath by breath. Keep splaying your right thigh open so that your right knee is pointing towards your right wall, not towards you. Another name for this posture is thread the needle. Let's tune into another 3 or 4 breaths here. This can be a helpful posture for releasing tension along the sciatic nerve. And then set your 2 feet on the ground. Keep the right foot down and rotate your left thigh open or externally at the hip. Make sure you're flexing your left foot so you're not rotating the left knee sideways. Cross the left ankle over your right thigh. Plant your left hand on the top of your inner left thigh, and that's close to the hip, not close to the knee. And gently press the thigh away, inviting your left knee to point towards your left wall. Deep breaths. Observing the sensations all around the left side of your pelvis, thigh, lower back. You notice if your body is asking you to stay in this position or to move on. Threading the left hand between the thighs, holding the right thigh or shin with 2 hands. And as you gradually bring the right leg closer, keep splaying your left thigh open, relaxing your head and shoulders down. Where are you feeling more sensations? What are your hips saying to you today? Just like we're observing patterns of mind, notice any patterns in your body. Let's uncross the legs and hug both knees into the chest. Now rocking forward and back several times. Build some momentum here so that eventually you can rise and stand at the top of your mat in mountain pose. To prepare for sun salutations, you may want to have your blocks in front of your feet for half forward fold, pressing the hands into blocks instead of the ground if you need to. Set your feet apart, hips distance and parallel to each other. Join your hands in prayer at your heart, starting in Padasana, hands in prayer in mountain pose. Reconnect to your intention, what you are strengthening about yourself through this practice, what you are cultivating. Offering gratitude to the sun, this beautiful source of energy on this planet. Let's begin with sun salutation C. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and roll your shoulders back, gazing up. Bend your knees if needed. Exhale, bow forward from your hips. Plant your fingertips on the ground outside your heels. Inhale, step your left knee behind you to a kneeling lunge. Gaze up. Hold your breath as you step into plank pose. Slowly exhale, lower your knees, then your chest, then your chin, Ashtangasana. Inhale, slither forward and draw your shoulders back into cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes and lift your hips back into downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb and lower your right knee, gazing up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Inhale, press through your feet and rise up, sweeping your arms overhead as you lift your heart towards the sun. Exhale, join your palms down your midline at your heart center. Second side, inhale, sweep your arms overhead and gaze up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hinge at your hips in Uttanasana. Plant your fingertips on the earth. Inhale, step your right knee back into Anjaneyasana, gaze up. Hold your breath as you step to plank. Exhale, lower your knees, then your chest, then your chin. Inhale, slide forward into Cobra, Bhujangasana. Exhale, lift your hips back, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb and lower your left knee, gazing up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and bow. Inhale, root down to rise. Lift your heart towards the sun. With gratitude, marry your palms in prayer at your hearts. Moving on to Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, sweep the arms into Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow towards the earth, Uttanasana. Plant your fingertips on your blocks or the ground. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward to Ardha Uttanasana. Step back to plank and pause for a few breaths, stacking your shoulders right on top of your wrists. Either lower your knees on the ground right under your hips for support, or straighten the legs, actively firming your inner heels back. Lengthen your neck, gaze on the floor ahead of the thumbs, and press the shoulder blades back. Roll your triceps towards the back wall and firm the sides of the belly. This time, breathe in, and as you exhale, slowly glide forward as far as you can and lower only halfway down, hugging the elbows to your ribs. Pause in Chaturanga Dandasana. Then flip the toes, inhale Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. For a few breaths, invite you to pedal your feet gently in place. Maybe stretch the outer hips by also swiveling your hips left and right. Notice the quality of your breathing now. Slowing it down. Invite balance of in and out. Relax your neck, maybe shaking and nodding your head a few times as you lift the shoulders back and drop the head forward. Relax the jaw, which affects the way your neck feels. Then begin to still your body, lifting your hips high, pressing the fronts of your thighs back, and rolling your triceps towards the ground. Tune into a cycle of breath as you steady your gaze. When you've emptied it, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat into Uttanasana. Press with your hands and lengthen forward. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale again, Uttanasana. Press with your feet and rise. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, join your palms together in Padasana. Let's flow through Sun Salutation A once more. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Step into your version of plank. Continue as you exhale, gliding forward, grazing your elbows by your ribs to Chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing dog. Breathe in and draw your shoulder heads back. Exhale, downward facing dog. I invite you this time to cultivate stillness. Steady your gaze for 3 breaths here. When you've emptied the third, walk or float to the front of your mat into a forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root down to rise. Exhale, hands at heart center. Let's move into Surya Namaskar B. Bring your feet together so that the inner edges of your big toes touch for chair pose. Then inhale, sit low, glide your shin bones back, raise your arms, relax your shoulders, chair, Utkatasana. Exhale, shift forward and hinge from your hips, Uttanasana. Inhale, half forward fold, Ardha Uttanasana. Step to plank and lower in the version of your vinyasa that you choose. Knees, chest, chin, or through Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your right leg back. Exhale, step the foot softly beside your right thumb and spin your left heel down. Inhale, rise up to warrior one. Ride your exhalation down into your vinyasa. Downward facing dog. Inhale, raise your left leg back. Exhale, step the foot beside your left thumb and spin your right heel down. Inhale, rise to Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower into your vinyasa. Downward facing dog. Once again, cultivate stillness for 3 or more deep breaths. Observe how your body feels right now. And if anytime you need to rest, please do give yourself rest. However that looks like for you, sitting down, child's pose, or just slowing down. Remember that you can practice these postures in many different ways, so choose the option. Use your props if needed that works best for your body. When you're ready to culminate the salutation, empty your breath, then walk or float to the front of your mat with feet together touching. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale, forward fold. With knees together, inhale, sit back in chair pose. Exhale to rise. Let's separate the feet hips distance apart, parallel to each other, and start with your hands on your hips. Draw your shoulders back, breathe in, look up. Feel free to bend your knees any amount so that as you're exhaling to bow forward, you can maintain the feeling of a flat back rather than rounding the back or rounding the shoulders. Tilt your weight forward. And now place your thumbs at the occipital ridge, the base of your skull, top of your neck. And interlace your fingers behind the head. Hug the elbows gently close to the head. And begin to sway the spine gently side to side. With the thumbs gently pressing downward to release the neck. Inviting the skull to drop a little more. Not forcefully. Just a little pressure. Open the jaw wide and stick out the tongue. Maybe side out. Flutter the lips a few times. Very gently, you might shake the head no. Just bringing some gentle movement in the neck. Nod your head yes. Just any kind of gentle movement here that your body's asking for. A few more deep breaths. Notice your energy right now and decide what makes most sense as you're taking care of yourself. Take another Vinyasa. Step to hands and knees and take cat-cow. Or step right into downward facing dog. When you arrive in downward facing dog, spread your thumbs flat towards each other. Point your index fingers forward or slightly turn them out. Keep your hips leveled and inhale, raise your right leg back. Exhale as you rotate your right thigh externally at the hip, bending the right knee. Flex your right foot and cross your right ankle in front of your left thigh, creating a figure four shape like we did lying down. Press your hands down and forward as you pull your hips up and back. Try to evenly draw the sitting bones back while you splay your right thigh open. Deeply inhale here. Then exhale as you tap your right knee outside your right upper arm and plank. Step the foot beside your right thumb and stay on the ball of your left foot. Inhale, rise up to crescent lunge. Just passing through, so one more full breath here. Next inhale, turn to your left into warrior two. Spin the left heel down and align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. As you open your arms, steady your gaze just past your right fingertips or close your eyes. Bending your right knee directly above your right heel. Firm the outer edge of your left foot into the ground. Wrap your right sitting bone down beneath you as you hug your outer right hip in. Firm the top of your left thigh bone back. Then relax your shoulders right above your hips, lifting up through the back of the skull. Tune into two last breaths in Virabhadrasana 2. Straighten your right leg and possibly shorten your stance a couple inches to prepare for triangle pose. Glide your hips sideways towards your rear wall as you lengthen your torso towards your front wall. Place your right hand down lightly on your right leg or just to the right of the shin on a block or the floor. Adjusting the height of your right hand where you can still maintain that steady, deep breath. Draw the crease of your right hip back to lengthen the right side of your torso. Draw the shoulder blades down the back and spin your chest slightly to face the sky. Trikonasana. Find a steady gaze on one spot here. If it feels okay on your neck, gazing up towards the left thumb. Otherwise, adjust where you look. Gaze down at the floor just ahead of your right toes. Let's prepare for half moon pose. Making sure the breath stays calm and balanced, you might bring the left hand to your left hip. Shift your weight into your right foot and bend the right knee. Walk your right fingertips forward about 6 inches ahead of your right pinky toe, out to the right corner on a block or the ground. Drag the left foot forward and flex it off the ground. As you straighten the left leg towards your rear wall, imagine the feeling of pressing the instep of your left foot towards that wall. Keep tacking the right hip crease back too as you turn the chest open, stacking both shoulders naturally above your right wrist. Then maybe raise your left arm or play with another variation of Ardha Chandrasana for a few more breaths. Straightening your left leg. With a slow exhale, step into Peaceful Warrior. Land the legs in Warrior Two. Keep the right knee bent. And side bend towards your rear wall, sweeping the right palm up towards the sky and back. Breathe into your right side body. As you exhale, windmill your hands to the ground. Optional, take a Vinyasa, cat-cow, or step right into downward facing dog. Sense the breath. Inhale, raise the left leg back. Exhale, bend the knee and turn open the left thigh at the hip. Cross the ankle above your right knee. Flex the left foot, creating a figure four shape. As you press the hands down, draw your hips up and back, firming in the belly. Inhale here. As you exhale, tap your left knee outside your left upper arm in plank pose. Then step the foot beside your left thumb and stay on the ball of your right foot. Inhale, rise up to crescent lunge. Full cycle of breath. Spin the right heel down and turn to your right, entering Warrior Two. Align your left heel to intersect the arch of your right foot. As you open your arms, steady your gaze just beyond your left hand or close your eyes. Sense that you're bending the left knee directly above your left heel while firming the outer edge of your right foot into the earth. Wrap your left sitting bone beneath you, hugging the outer left hip in towards you while firming the top of your right thigh bone back. Invite a tall spine by centering your shoulders right above your hips, lifting through the back of your skull. Last couple of breaths, Virabhadrasana 2. Straighten your left leg, and for triangle pose, you might shorten your stance a couple of inches. Glide your hips sideways towards your rear wall. Lengthen your torso towards the front. Lower your left hand on your left leg or just to the left of the shin on a block of the ground where you can easily stack your shoulders and wrists. Tack the crease of your left hip back and slide the shoulder blades down the back. Spin your chest slightly to face the sky, steadying your gaze on one focal point. A few more breaths in Trikonasana. Now look at the ground ahead of your left foot and steady your gaze and breath. You might place the right hand on your right hip as you transition to Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Walk your left hand forward and to the left of your left pinky toe on a block of the floor. Drag the right foot forward and flex it off the ground. Then expand in all directions like you did in triangle pose. Maybe raise the right arm. Steady your eyes, steady your breath. With the right leg straight, exhale as you gently step back to Warrior Two legs. Keep the left knee bent and side bend towards your rear wall, lifting the left palm to face up. Breathe deeply into your left side body in Peaceful Warrior. This time, rise up to Warrior Two and step up to the front of your mat. To save time, let's come to the top of the mat and place your 2 blocks on their tallest height in front of your feet. About a foot in front of your feet, shoulders width apart. We're going to continue our figure 4 shape in chair pose with an option for those of you that want to practice arm balancing to fly in single pigeon. So start with the feet together. Join your hands together at the heart, connecting to calm, balanced, conscious breaths. Steady your eyes, maybe on the ground a few feet ahead of you to help with your balance. Bend your knees together, draw your hips back and firm the belly in. Now turn out your right thigh at the hip. Flex your right foot as you cross the ankle above your left thigh. Splaying your right thigh open, draw your sitting bones back and if possible, further down. Stay here or raise the arms overhead. Or plant the fingertips down onto your blocks if they're reachable, adjusting the height of your hands to how open your right hip feels. For those of you that want to enter flying pigeon arm balance, place your hands flat on the floor, about a foot in front of your left toes. Think of chaturanga in your arms. Keep them parallel to each other and bend your elbows back. Lift your hips and wrap the top of your right flex foot around your left tricep. Stack your right shin across both upper arms and gaze ahead of your hands. Use your right shin to press off of your upper arms while you extend left leg back, flexing the left foot too. Whatever you're practicing, tune into a few more breaths. Take your time to reverse the steps you were in, coming back to figure 4, chair pose, and back to chair pose, and up to mountain pose. Pause and tune in. Observing your mind and any patterns that might arise. Slow, balanced breaths. Rearrange your blocks if they've walked away, so they're on their tallest height in front of your feet. And step your feet together to touch. Join your hands, steady your gaze, and steady your breath. Take your time. There's no rush as you move through the stages. Bend your knees together. Find stability in one stage before you progress to the next stage. Turn out your left thigh at the hip. Flex your left foot and cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Pause. Splay the left thigh open and draw the hips back, maybe lower. Draw the right shin back. Breathe. Stay here or raise the arms up. Or plant the fingertips in front of you. Or prepare for the arm balance. If so, plant the hands flat on the floor, about a foot ahead of your standing foot. Look ahead of your hands so that you can lift the hips and place the left shin across the upper arms, wrapping the top of the foot around your right tricep. As you lean further forward and pull the belly in, lifting the hips, you might be able to straighten the right leg behind you. Sense what arises in your mind, patterns in the breath or the body. Then when you're ready, reverse the stages coming out of the posture you're in. Figure 4, chair pose, regular chair pose, mountain pose. Tune in again. What kind words might you offer yourself in this moment? Inhale, sweep your arms overhead and lift your heart up. Exhale, forward fold. Last vinyasa, if you'd like to take it, We'll meet lying on our bellies. Lying face down, let's prepare to enter our last few back bends, beginning in bound locust pose. Rest your forehead on the ground. Slide your knees as close together as you comfortably can. Keep your legs straight and firm the tops of your feet into the earth. Bring the hands behind your lower back to clasp, or hold a strap between your hands. As you press your feet into the ground, draw your shoulders back, lifting your chest. Gently lift your head, looking down ahead of you to lengthen the back of the neck. Count 5 breaths or so before you lower to rest. As you're here, if your lower back feels okay with it, lift your feet too and keep your legs straight. Try to relax the shoulders down away from the neck. Baddha Shalabhasana, bound locust pose. When you're done, let everything in your body rest for 2-3 breaths. Notice anything there is to notice. For our second of 3 back bends, I'll invite you into bow pose, Dhanurasana. Once again, slide your knees close together while resting your forehead on the ground. This time, bend both knees. Reach back with your hands to catch outer feet, inner feet, or ankles. Now, if you're having lower back tension, like sciatic nerve stuff, do not do bow pose. That might be a little too much. Stick with bound locust with your feet on the ground, which offers more lower back support. If you are in bow, kick the feet away into your hands as you pull the feet towards you, lifting the knees. Give it 5 breaths or so before you let go to rest. To stabilize your lower back, try not to splay the knees wider apart than your hips distance. Try to relax the neck and shoulders here. Relax the face. Relax the breath. Then rest. 2 to 3 breaths. Please find the easiest way for you to move onto your back for our last back bend in bridge pose. As you lie on your back, bend your knees and step your feet on the floor as wide apart as your hips. Bring the arms down by your sides and walk your heels back until you could almost touch them with your fingertips. Parallel your feet to each other and ground your shoulders, tilting your chin back away from your chest. Press your feet down and inhale as you lift your hips up. Keep your thighs parallel to each other and stretch the fronts of your thighs forward. 5 or so breaths before you lower to rest. Walk your upper arms closer together under your back ribs while keeping your arms straight. If your hands touch, you might also interlace your fingers. Press your outer upper arms into the earth as you breathe space into your chest, lifting the heart. Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. Try to equally press the inner and outer edges of your feet into the ground. When you're ready to come down, use an exhalation to carefully lower your spine, tailbone last. And when you arrive, please wrap your right leg over your left leg and lift your feet off the ground. Hug your thighs as close together as you can and splay your feet apart. If your knees feel sensitive, you might flex your feet in supine cow face pose. This posture helps to open up across the lower back, the glutes, the outer hips. This can be helpful if you're experiencing sciatic nerve tension. So bring the hands to hold your outer feet. If that's not reachable, hold your outer shins. Otherwise, you can hold the backs of your thighs. Press the back of your pelvis into the floor. Relax your shoulders on the ground. Rest your head down. And for a few more breaths, invite your feet to splay wider apart and your thighs to come closer to your belly. Notice what sensations are coming up or shifting in your body here. Now keep the cross of your legs, set your feet on the ground. Let's prepare for a supine spinal twist. Place your pelvis a few more inches towards the right edge of your mat and open your right arm wide on the floor. Ground your right shoulder and gaze past it. Lift your feet and slowly drop your knees to your left, only as far as your right shoulder can stay on the ground. If you're wanting a deeper stretch in your lower back, place your left hand on your right outer hip. As you exhale, press that hip gently away from you, tilting it towards the front edge of your mat. Slowly unravel back to center, uncrossing your legs, stepping your feet apart on the ground, knees bent. Wrap your left thigh over your right thigh and separate the feet as far apart as you can. You might flex the feet here. Catch hold of your outer feet, shins, or backs of your thighs in Supta Gomukhasana. As you draw the thighs towards you, splay the feet wider apart and ground the back of your tailbone. Ground your shoulders and head. Set your feet on the ground, but keep the cross of your legs. Place your pelvis closer to the left edge of your mat and open your left arm wide. Ground your left shoulder and lift your feet, then slowly drop your knees to your right. Only as far as the left shoulder stays on the ground. You might add a deeper lower back stretch, placing the right hand on your left outer hip and pressing that hip towards the front of your mat. Come back to center, uncross the legs and hug them in towards your side ribs, separating the knees wider than hips distance apart. Maybe rock a little side to side or any direction to massage your lower back. And make your way up to sit. We'll straighten the legs in front of you for seated forward fold. Separate your feet hips width apart. And ground your sitting bones firmly as you lift the spine tall. You might use a strap as an extension of your arms, placing the strap around the balls of your feet to help you be able to relax the shoulders back and down. Now lift the back of your skull, lift your chest, keep your throat naturally open, and breathe in. Hug your outer hips towards your midline, lifting the spine from the hips. As you exhale, hinge forward from the hips just a little bit. Pause and breathe in, plugging the pelvis down and lengthening through the crown of your head and chest. And if you can do so without rounding the back, continue to fold, breath by breath. Now some of you might clasp your big toes with your peace fingers. Either way, try to keep the chest slightly lifted as you fold in. Press down through the hips. Inhale, lead with the chest to rise up. Please find a comfortable position to lie down in as we enter Shavasana for a few minutes. As you lie back, you might splay the feet apart, wider than your hips distance. You might rest a weighted blanket over your pelvis and lower belly to offer grounding energy support. Close your eyes. One more deep breath. Fill it up in through the nose. Sip in a little bit more. Sigh it out slowly through the mouth. And now let go. Let go of controlling your breathing. Allow stillness and presence. As you rest a little longer, keep your eyes closed. Notice how your physical body feels now. Gently begin to move your body slowly, little by little, waking it up, stretching, still with your eyes closed. Take your time to turn over onto your right side, resting there for a moment. And observe the quality of your breath. Notice how you feel now energetically. When you're ready, press your hands into the ground and slowly lift your body up. Find a comfortable way to sit for 5 minutes in meditation. Sitting tall, heart space open and relaxed, whole body relaxed. You might close the eyes. Let your awareness rest on something that connects you to the present moment, whether the feeling of the natural breath, the weight of your body on the surface below, or a sound in your background. Continue to observe any patterns of thoughts or where your attention tends to go. Coming back to that anchor afterwards. Sense your mental state and your emotional state. And I invite you to recognize something with gratitude right now. Remember what your intention is, continuing to cultivate it outside of your practice. Remember to whom you dedicated this practice. And let's close chanting Om 3 times. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.